Hey, everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to be here with my friend, Jeremy Norman, the CEO and founder of Norman and Associates. Jeremy Norman, how you doing today, Jeremy?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited, man. I finally get a chance to make the podcast. I'm feeling
We've been
good
we've been
today.
trying to do this for so long. It's so cool that we actually got this thing together. And Happy New Year to you.
Man, happy New Year to you. Happy late Christmas, everything.
Are we? How long are we allowed to say Happy New Year? Because I feel like certain people go a lot longer than like other people. Like some people, it's like okay, if it's New Year's Day, day after, first day at work, that's it. Some people are like basically half of January and February. What's the
I,
deal?
I think it's to the end of January. We're gonna give it to
End
the
of
end of
January.
January. Because
Okay.
anytime in January, people are gonna say it to you. Happy New Year's. I'm still
So
getting it now.
January. So Happy New Year, everybody. Okay, this is our first show from inside the studios here at Glomo HQ. We did one yesterday in DC. I flew in from DC this morning, and man, my arms are killing me. Sorry, no, I had to do it. Get in the comments right now. Let us know who you are, where you are. Check in with us. Hit that like button. I want to hear your questions. We're going to be talking about real estate. We're going to be talking about getting into the relocation industry. I want to hear about Jeremy's journey into this business because I know it can be kind of an insular business, kind of cliquish, if
Yeah.
you will, and hard to break into. I know I felt that way when I first got into this business a little over a decade ago. But you've come a long way, Jeremy, and I want to hear your stories and maybe tips and tricks you've had in growing your business the way that you've done it. And I want to hear a little bit if you have any insights on how this some of this lawsuits that are going on in the real estate world might apply to us too. If you think that there's going to be any implication, I'm really curious here. Let's see what's going on in the comments, and then we'll see where the show takes us. All right,
All right, man. I'm no longer on the journey. Let's go.
let's go. You're along for the ride. It's going to be a roller coaster, man. I was going to tell you, hold on, buckle up. Don't eat anything beforehand. Amanda says, "Happy 2024 from Arizona." What's up, Amanda? Good to see you. Elena, hey, Jeremy Norman.
Elena. Hey, Elena.
Checking in from downtown DC. You're all over the place, Elena. Did you get off jury duty or what? What's the skinny there, Elena? I want to know the scoop. Any tips you have for getting out of jury duty? Pamela Stevenson, Maryland. There we
Man,
go.
I like that, Maryland.
Just dropping the D. I love it. Look at this, Rachel checking in. What's up, everybody? Hit that like button. Jeremy, got a fan here. Rachel's a big fan.
Oh man, that's my girl. If I had to say somebody who's been a number one supportive and a great friend, I would say it's Rachel. If you already
Wow.
know, Ben, if you see me at the conference, Rachel was probably right there by me, man. She was probably one of the first ones that embraced me when I came into this industry. And she
That
said, "Look here, we're going to be conference buddies. We're going to be friends. We're going to grow our business together." And that's what I love about Rachel.
that's so important too. To have that person that kind of reaches out to you when you're the new person in the room. What was that experience like? Shout out to Rachel there, and what was that experience like for you breaking in, Jeremy?
It was actually, a little bit of nerves, a little bit. I didn't know what to expect. My first time actually going to a Relo event was with Worldwide REC had a event in Chicago. It was the first one after COVID, so everybody was still had to take the vaccine or you had to have your mask on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first event. Didn't know anything, didn't know anybody. But I was always that person, and you put me in the room, everybody's going to be my best friend. So I knew I was up for a challenge, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember my first Worldwide ERC was in San Antonio, and I felt so many feelings in the moment, right? I felt like wonderment, like, oh my God, like this is a job. I could do this for a living, like hang out here on the river walk with like tequila shots and like sombrero parties, and like this sounds amazing. Like I couldn't have drawn it up any better.
I remember when
To
I first walked past the booth, and I was like, Lord, they shipping dogs? They flying dogs all over the place? I didn't even know that was a theme that you could fly a pet around the world. So that's when I knew that I was in a total different industry that I wasn't used to.
Well, isn't it funny too? Because you probably think like in real estate, like, oh, I do relocations all the time. Executive relocated to, and used me to, buy a house or something. But then you realize how deep this industry is, right?
Yeah, I tell everybody it's a difference between doing a reload and a corporate reload. Two totally different one. A regular traditional reload, that could be your mom deciding that she wants to move from California into Destin, Florida, and she want to be by the beach. But corporate relocation, you already know, Ben, that's a little bit different. That's that white glove service. That's that executive. That's that manager that's moving in with a new job, new employees up on them. So I tell everybody it's totally different. Corporate, traditional.
Yeah. So, what was the biggest adjustment for you coming into this business? And we're going to talk about Norman Associates and the business that you built because I'm really curious about it and how it's growing because it's doing some really big stuff. But what was maybe one of the biggest adjustments being an established realtor and then getting into the relocation industry?
Well, it was the learning the system and learning how those relocation management company wanted their clients to be treated. Luckily, I had a little bit of experience of giving concierge service. I ran a sports and entertainment division before I even got into corporate relocation. So I tell everybody, you're dealing with athletes, you ready for everybody. So they already had trained me and put me through the fire before I even came into corporate relocation. So I think the biggest thing is, go ahead.
Who's more high maintenance? A CEO or an athlete?
Oh, those athletes. Give me
Really?
those athletes right there. Yeah, I would say the athletes. Athletes, they have unique personalities, and you understand they're used to dominating on the field and being that go-to person, or the people patting them on the back and saying they're the best. And so they want that when it comes to relocating them. They want that reassurance. They want that white glove service. So I would say probably athletes.
Interesting. I want to hear from the crowd here. We got people joining in here. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. I want to know what your thoughts are. What was your biggest learning curve getting into this industry? Jeremy, how many years you've been in the corporate relocation side of this
I've
business?
been in the corporate relocation for 3.5 years now. So
Three and a half years. All right. So you
yeah,
got your feet. You got your feet on. You're doing some
I got
things.
my feet.
Okay. But it's still fresh though, too. I'm sure the feeling of being
I
new.
mean, it's different. It's extremely fresh, especially when I'm going to events and people telling me they've been in for 20 years and I'm telling 3.5 years.
Yeah, it makes you feel real fresh, doesn't it? I want to know out there, if you're watching this right now, what was your biggest learning curve coming into the relocation industry? What was your biggest aha moment at your first conference or whatever? I want to hear it. Put it into the chat here. Mike McGill checking in. I want to hear from you, Mike. Miggy McGill here. Cleveland checking in by way of DC. You're in DC, Mike. When'd you get in? I just flew in this morning out of DC. You gotta let me know. Richard Majewski checking in from London town.
Oh man.
What's up? Happy New Year.
Hey.
How long do y'all say it over there in London, Richard? How long y'all say Happy New Year? Curious. Mobility Collective checking in. Happy New Year to you. We're looking forward to hearing Jeremy's insights today. Thank you for joining. Love the idea of the Mobility Collective too, by the way. Are you involved in that group, Jeremy?
Yes, I am. Yeah, that's an amazing group, man.
Tell us a little bit about it for people that aren't acquainted.
Oh, so Mobility Collective was started for, and you probably didn't know this, Ben. It's not too many minorities in the corporate relocation space.
No way.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring more insight and more highlight to minorities about this industry. Because if you was walking the street and you tell somebody you in mobility, the average person wouldn't know what mobility is. And they don't even know that is an option when they're in college. So we wanted to bring more awareness to the organizations and try to get more people involved into it from the minorities aspect of it.
Yeah. And I got to imagine, it's so rare as a white male, as a cisgendered white male walking into a room where I don't feel like the majority. It happens so rarely to me that I could probably like remember those moments. Like it happens like probably to me like twice a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so there's a feeling to being in a space that is not like because I'm I'm used to being the majority, right? There's a feeling to that when you walk into a different type of space, and I can't imagine what that feels like on a daily, let's just say a daily basis, or every time you go, if you go to a conference where there's just not that many people that might be in the room that look like you. I don't know. I mean, how does that? What's that like?
Well, man, you just described my life. 90% of the rooms that I ran into, I am going to be the minority. It's a gap period around there, and I had to get used to it. And I had to tell myself that I belonged there. Was the first thing. When I went to Chicago, and I was in Worldwide ERC, and then that's when I really discovered the gap between minorities actually and relocation. It wasn't too many minorities in this. At the conference. So I told myself, I had a pep talk with myself. I said, okay, if you're going to be in this industry, you're going to have to be okay with being the only one in the room. And you're intelligent enough to be in the room with everybody else, and then make everybody else your best friend. And that was my goal, to make everybody in that room my best friend. And I can tell you that the relocation space has embraced me tremendously. I have so many friends around the world now. And that's the thing I think we forget. This industry allows us to have so many friends. Like Ben, I met you, I know so many different people now. When you're a traditional realtor, you only know the realtors in your city. Now I know people all in Pittsburgh. I've been there several times. I've been all over to Vegas. I got LA. And so I love the friendship that I made from it.
Yeah, the friendships are incredible, and being able to experience all these different locales, and just wait. I mean, wait till you start doing international and global type transactions, because that's just happened to me 2 years ago. I'd never been outside the country until maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3. For me, that was a major eye opener too. I mean, and I'll also talk about being in a room where I felt, especially a room like maybe to speak Spanish. Right. And I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. Right. Like, that was an eye opener for me as well. And probably the closest thing I've really felt to being like kind of a fish out of water like that. But I got to tell you, just as an observer, I feel like I can say this because I feel like I know a lot of people in this business. Yeah. You have made such an amazing splash in this industry. Everybody I talk to that knows you, Jeremy, just absolutely loves you. They're effusive in their praise. You have found a way to kind of get into people's hearts. That's kind of what I look at. My team makes fun of me because I don't think with my head, I think with my heart sometimes. I always joke about it. Like, I think down here that something's and I feel like you get that. You're in there, and people love you, man.
Man, I think it's when you're genuine. Anybody that ever met me or ever talked to me understand I speak with passion. I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm serious about making everybody my friend. I was always that kid at school that everybody got along with, no matter, even when I went to college, and I went to an all African-American high school. So going to college was my first time getting exposed to being around other different races. Yeah, so it wasn't until college that I had the opportunity to be around a different race, and that was an opening to me. But then when I got on the campus, everybody was like, Jeremy, hey, yeah. Okay, all right, I can make everybody my friend.
Is there, there's obvious drawbacks to being the only one in the room or a minority, right? Mm-hmm. But is there a positive? Is there a silver lining to that?
It is. I think the silver lining is that we give it opportunities. Some minorities wouldn't probably have an opportunity within my firm to be able to go into neighborhoods that they normally wouldn't have an opportunity. So the silver lining is I'm giving out opportunity to my agents every single day. And just to be transparent, some areas we're just not getting an opportunity to compete for a listing in, and they're so excited, and it's really helped them develop as being a realtor. If you look at real estate, African Americans probably carry less than 5% of the listings out there on the market. We're not heavy on listing. We're more heavy on the buyer side. And I think it's because we just don't have opportunities to practice on our listing and the opportunity to get in front of people. And so corporate relocation has really brought a life in my company and brought excitement to our agents. When I give them that assignment, they're excited to go, oh, I get to go to Alpharetta, and do a listing presentation. So that's the thing that I love about this industry. It's just me allowing them to give them opportunities.
This is fantastic. It's so interesting. I mean, we got so many people getting into the chat here. Hit that like button, get in here. Elena saying Jeremy is that guy. We are so lucky to have him in our industry. People are sharing their kind of first impressions of the business and maybe their learning curve. We'll get to all that. But it's so interesting. I just want to stay here because I find this really interesting. Because I studied this a little bit in college. And redlining was a real estate practice. You talk about certain neighborhoods that folks aren't able to really do business in or whatever. I mean, redlining was an actual practice that was in place for a long time that said folks of a type of folks couldn't live in certain types of neighborhoods, and that was technically made illegal. However, some of this steering and some of this stuff still kind of persists today, does it not?
And it does. It does, and I think some people they're not aware of it happening, but it is. It's proven fact. Sometimes we don't get opportunities to get in areas or have opportunities to be great in areas that the normal person would be. And I see that. I shout out to all of my RMCs for believing in me and allowing me to come on and work with them to bring some type of diversity in front of their suppliers, because it's really changing the industry. I think that more and more people now are understanding about mobility now from watching our company and what we're doing. And they were like, "Oh, Jimmy, can you tell me more about this corporate relocation?"
Yeah. And I want to talk about that as well. Get in the comments. If you've got questions for Jeremy, put them in there. We will try to prioritize those. I promise you, we will get to all your questions. So if you have questions for Jeremy, put them in there. I want to get to those. Jeremy, I want to go back to kind of how you founded Norman and Associates. You are the founder, correct?
Correct.
What was that like? I mean, I'm fascinated by entrepreneurial journeys. You've obviously done so much with that company. Tell us kind of how it started and maybe kind of bring us forward to where you are today.
Well, my journey started in 2003. I'm actually coming on 21 years of being in the industry of real estate. And then everybody could say 21 years, I'm a survivor,
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so
that's 2 decades. I mean, really into 3 now. I mean, that has some cachet.
So I started in Birmingham. That's my hometown. Started out working with some smaller firms. I started out with a company called Johnson Realty Company when I first got started. It was more of a mom and pop, so it was about 30 agents. Went there, my first year was a learning experience. I think everybody's first year in real estate is a learning experience. But my second year, I really led the team in sales. So did 3 years of residential.
Wait, I just want to understand that your second year in real estate, 2004-ish, you led your team in sales. So this is about my junior year of college. I was doing keg stands and jello shots, and you're number 2 in the company in sales. I just want to understand where we're at trajectory-wise. Okay, understood.
Yeah. But understand, let me take you back. I discovered real estate while in college. I played college football. I played for Jacksonville State University, and I was doing my financing degree. I grew up not really knowing about real estate. We didn't have any classes teaching us about real estate or owning real estate, anything. It wasn't until I went to college and I taken my finance degree, and it was a real estate class, and I had the opportunity to take it. And I tell everybody that was love at first sight. I in the class, and I was like, no, I need to get my real estate degree.
What was it about real estate that just captured your imagination?
It was just fascinating of people. I think I was always a people person. And then my mom owned she rented the same house for about 20 years on it. Wow. And so, I started kind of thinking about my mom, and it was time for her to own a house, and I'm hearing about home ownership. And I was like, okay, I need to go ahead and get my degree. So I made my real estate certificate so I could go back and sell my mom a house. And I did exactly that. I was the first person to put my mom into her first home.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. What year was that?
That was back in 2005 is when I put my mom in her first home.
Wow. And you recognize, I'm sure, 20 years of equity she could have built up paying that rent.
Yeah, exactly. She was a phenomenal woman. I wouldn't be here without my mom. I tell everybody I had a praying mom. And so maybe that, she used to take me to church band. And I don't know if back in the day, you used to have these small churches when you put your hands in the air and they kind of prophesied and tell you.
Yeah.
Everybody always told me I was destined.
Church.
Yeah. Everybody told me I was always destined for great. And so throughout my whole high school career, my college career, I always grew up knowing that I was special and I was meant to do something special. So when I got into real estate, I just felt like that was it. I mean, I had no plan B, and it was only plan A. And I was the first one in the office. I was the last one in the office. Every real estate company I worked for, I always opened up the office and I always closed it. I went to Keller Williams. I worked with them 8 years. I was the #1 Keller Williams agent in Birmingham for 4 years in a row. I
want to stop you again. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I gotta double click on some of these accomplishments because they're phenomenal. What was the secret to becoming that #1 Keller Williams agent? Because now that's a big pond. I mean, Keller Williams is one of the largest real estate companies in the country. So
Yeah.
how did you manage that?
I worked.
You mean there's no secret? There's no silver bullet, right? There's no silver.
Relentless. That's what I would tell it. I used to knock on every doors, and then I got exposed to corporate relocation. I mean, corporate America early too. I started handling commercial foreclosures for Regions and Wells Fargo Bank, and so between 2007 all the way up to 2015, I handled 90% of Regions Bank and Wells Fargo foreclosure throughout the whole state of Alabama. I sold everything from them, from mega churches to, they foreclosed on a mega church, to apartment complexes, to, so I have my CCIM, which is the highest commercial designation. So I spent 5 years of just doing straight commercial real estate.
How did you get into, and you are highly favored. I see that in you, and it makes so much sense when you start talking about your background and that you have a church background, because sometimes you see that light in people and you're like, this guy's got it, right? This guy's got it. And it's that grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's on you, and that favor that's on you. I see that in you. And it makes a lot of sense now. But how did you figure out that commercial real estate was that angle? One thing I noticed about entrepreneurs that are successful and successful people in general is that they always they see the angles, they see the way, they see a way where other people maybe don't necessarily recognize opportunities. So how did you recognize that commercial real estate opportunity?
I had actually a lot of people reach out to me and ask me to help them find apartment complex, and then I had people reaching out to me, ask me about leasing space. And I knew that I needed a little bit more education. So I joined a company called LAH, and I was a part of their commercial division. So I was actually, I was the first African-American in Birmingham to get the award for top producer in commercial real estate from the Birmingham Realtors Association. And so,
wow,
I guess in the industry,
the first ever
I hit
in Birmingham.
Yeah, I hit the mark in commercial. I think I had that year, I did close to 20 million in sales, 15, 20 million in sales in commercial.
That sounds like a nice check. I'm not going to lie to you. That's where my head goes immediately. That sounds like a nice check. So at some point, and I want to, before we get in this, I think I see where this is going. You get that nice check, you hit that level. And at some point you're like, yo, my name used to be on the door. Okay, my name,
Exactly.
Norman would look real nice up there. You know what? And let's get some associates in here too while we're at it. All right. But before we get there, I want to give some shout outs to people that are checking in here because they deserve it. They've been hanging out with us. Get in the comments. I want to hear from you. Let's give some shout outs here. We got Daniel Horning here checking in, saying the importance of networking and relationships is what he's learned. Amanda Rakowski feels like the biggest challenge is breaking in, just getting in there. Sometimes
I agree with her on that.
Kelly Whitfield, love the Mobility Collective focus, building awareness, promoting growth, next generations in industry. Yes, for real. Learning curve, as the sector is so diverse in terms of client requirements, where technology can help, but will never replace personal service. Thank goodness. Let's see here. Elaine is recognizing you are highly favored. Shaniqua, good. Happy New Year. Good to see you, Ben and Jeremy. Good to see you too, Shaniqua. Let's see here. Hosea. Oh, one of my best buddies here. Hello, Ben and Jeremy. What's up, Hosea? Hosea is amazing. You know Hosea Botley, Jeremy?
Yeah, man, I know. Hosea was actually the first person I met when I was in Chicago, and he embraced me too. So Hosea is right there. I mean, literally one of the first people I met in Chicago. Didn't know anybody. He had his team there, and he stopped and talked to me and kind of told me a little bit about his industry, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know his industry existed. And so,
Right.
yeah, so that lets you know how fresh I was. I didn't even know that side of the business even existed.
Yeah. Hey, did you happen to go to Hosea's party that one of those nights? Did you go to our party? We threw a party.
No.
Oh,
I didn't make that part.
At the piano bar, at Redhead Piano Bar. Hey,
I
shout out
heard
to
about
Redhead Piano Bar in Chicago. We had a cigar roller. We had a piano, live music. We had some drag queens. I mean, it was crazy. I'll be honest with you. We had phenomenal photographers in there too. Shout out to Danny Martinez out there that does an amazing job. Thank you for Versal for always supporting my crazy parties and ideas. Appreciate you. And by the way, Jeremy, you got to come to the next Love and Relo event in person, because Hosea spoke at the last one and there was not a dry eye in the entire room of 100 people. We were all just stealing each other's handkerchiefs. Like it was disgusting how much we all cried in there. So you got to hear Hosea's talk, because the man's got an amazing testimony here. Drew Phillips checking in. 20 years of some of the most difficult markets. Well done, Mr. Norman.
Drew, right about that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, can we give a special shout out to this later? We're gonna pause.
Go for it. Who is?
I have a whole chapter about her, Teresa Howe.
Well, let's talk about it. She says Jeremy is the gold standard in relocation. He understands what it is to provide exceptional service as a broker. Tell us about Teresa.
So Teresa is one of the real factors why I'm here. So when I was in Chicago, and I was doing my networking, and Drew was right, networking and relationship is the key. So I was going around asking a lot of people, like, okay, who do I need to talk to? And I'm in this industry, and everybody kept on saying, you need to talk to Teresa. You need to talk to Teresa. Teresa runs a consultant, and she helps people get their relocation division together. So I got a chance to connect with Teresa there, and then after that, I ended up entering a partnership with Teresa, and she started doing some consulting work. So Teresa made sure my foundation was solid. So I just didn't step out there. I actually hired somebody to make sure I had the right system. We went over BMA. We went over all the rules and regulations. She made sure that she literally trained my whole entire team. So we went to about 3 or 4 months of just training with Teresa before I even knocked on a door at the RMC, because I knew that since me being new to this industry, I had to be well put together. I couldn't let a pen drop. So I spent literally probably 4 or 5 months just with Teresa. And Teresa is the reason that I'm here. And she still gives me guidance to this day. And she's been in the industry for a while.
Shout out to Teresa Howe. That's a phenomenal story. And I love the fact you're recognizing her too for that. But you're absolutely correct. Because if you try to come to an RMC like, yeah, I can do this, and they start talking to you, they're going to know in 5 minutes if you're just full of it. Right. Yeah. And you got people that can't spell BMA step into an RMC talking about I can do this. And they're going to see through you so fast. And there's so many great companies out there that you're competing against that have been doing this for so long that if you don't take the time to lay the proper foundation, which I give you kudos, you understand that. I mean, you obviously have built your company for the long term, because a lot of people just rush in and they try to, they just try to get a listing. They just try to hop in there and just get a transaction.
I knew I had one shot. Sometimes you only have one opportunity. And so I didn't want to take my shot until I knew that I was ready to take my shot. So I literally worked with Teresa, made sure, got comfortable with my systems, got comfortable. I was already comfortable with BMA because, like I told you before, I did foreclosure, but I forgot to tell you, I also did residential foreclosure. So during 2008, 2009, when the economy crashed, I ran a large foreclosure division. I was direct agent with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, Regions, Wells Fargo. I was pushing maybe about 60 to 70 foreclosures a month. And if you ever did foreclosure, I was the property manager. I was the valuation. I was the repair. So I was kind of already set up and ready for relocation. And then we had to do a lot of what we call BMAs too. BPOs is what we call them in the foreclosure world. BPO, broker price opinion. So I was already used to giving the bank's broker price opinion. So it was kind of like a smooth transaction because I was already prepared.
Who did those get sold to? I'm just really curious about this. How did that process work?
Investors, first-time homeowners. That's what everybody's waiting on this economy to come back around with foreclosure. It's not going to come around. I still run that foreclosure division. Most people don't know that. I still run the foreclosure, so I do a relocation and foreclosure.
Wow. Well, let's hope it's not the same transferee.
Nah.
It's a different
different world. Different
yeah,
world.
for sure. So tell me about when you decided, you know what would look really good on that door? Norman and Associates. Tell me about when you decided to start your own business.
When I kept on having a conversation with minorities going through that burnout phase. And the burnout phase is, when typically sometimes when African Americans get in there about that year 4, year 5, they get burnt out. Because sometimes in this industry, we have to do more volume, more numbers than some of our colleagues sometimes. We have to do more.
Is that because the ticket price is smaller? Like
ticket price is smaller. Totally different gap in ticket market right there. So, for example, we may have to be selling in the $200,000 range, with some of our colleagues may be selling in the $500,000 range. And we have to do more $200,000 just to be a top producer. And so if you ever look at it, you won't see a lot of African Americans as top producers of these companies. It's just because everything is about relationships, and the relationship they built is all the people they're around. So when I saw people going through that burnout, I just said, man, maybe I need to help them by giving them a platform and show that we can sell in other levels. And that's the reason why I started the company.
Well, and you also mentioned, I don't want to get into this, but you also mentioned that African Americans are more likely to be buyer's agents than seller's agents, right? So,
Correct.
And you have to work a lot harder as a buyer. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but
No,
you're going to see a lot of houses, right? Versus you just list one and take some pictures, get it up there, and then wait for the offers to come in. I mean, I hate to, I don't want to belittle the process, but it seems like
you're right. You're right. You can carry about 15 listings up under you, but you can't carry 15 buyers up under you one time. That's going to be a whole lot.
Those buyers might take a year to buy a house too. They don't.
I know. So
I've been in somebody's pipeline for 3 years. I still get all the new listings come on the market because of the interest rates.
Yeah, I wanted to build a company that I didn't see out there. I wanted to build a company where every race were up under there, when we all got along. I didn't see that company out there. Even though I was a top producer of Keller Williams, I still wanted to see that company more unified, more put together, where we can come together and show the world that we're brothers and sisters and we're working together. And then also to encourage more minorities to stick in there, because African Americans only make up 7% of realtors in the whole United States. So we're not even in double digits.
So proportionately, what percentage of home buyers, let's just say, or homeowners do African Americans represent? Give me a ballpark. I won't hold you to.
You got me on that one right there. Probably maybe 30-40%.
Okay. So there's obviously a big disparity there between the representation and the home ownership. So tell me, okay. So you decide, okay, I need to do something. I have a vision, right? And I've been there. I know what you mean. So what was that step making a reality? How'd you start? What was your first? Where'd you plant your flag?
You ready for this?
Yeah,
I was in Birmingham. I had already been working in the Atlanta market for probably 3 years. And I sat there and I said, okay, I want to build a company. I want to showcase a lot of agents that I felt were phenomenal. I decided I was going to put the company in Atlanta. I felt like Atlanta gave me the best opportunity to really grow. And it was, everybody knows that sometimes Atlanta.
So you're sitting in Birmingham, but you say, you know what, I'm going to go over there to start my company.
Correct. That's how I really went. And so I started in an apartment complex. At Georgia, I knew that I didn't have to have a brick and mortar, that I can start it in an apartment complex. And so I literally went over there, rented an apartment, and used the leasing office conference room to start. I started with 3 agents.
So I'm sorry. So the apartment became your office, or was that where you lived?
Yeah, no,
that was your office.
Both. It was my office and where I lived. And so you should imagine when I gave agents my address to come do an interview with me, and they pulled up and say, I'm at the leasing office. I was like, you're at the right place. Come on in.
Come on in. And or were they saying, well, isn't this kind of the opposite of what we're doing? Are we selling houses, not renting apartments?
Like Jared apartment. And sometimes I met all my new agents at Starbucks. So shout out to Starbucks. I knew the staff in there. They knew exactly what I was trying to do. I would flag them on into the back, and I had some cookies, and I had all this stuff on the table.
on the weekends, you ever hang out at the pool and just start like, talking to people? Hey, you ever thought about home ownership? You ever start recruiting people at the barbecue, at the volleyball court, anything like that?
No, but I used to tell our agents to come over to jump in the pool with me. You know, it's our office. We have a pool party at the office.
Having a pool party at the office. That's great. Okay. So that's who you start. Yo, and I love these humble beginnings, right? I mean, we've all seen that picture of Steve Jobs starting, in an office with a phone and a desk and, just Amazon written on the wall. You know what I mean? It's like, it's everybody starts somewhere, right? Bill Gates, they started in the garage, right? So, we all start somewhere. I mean, people see, Norman Associates and all these offices and everything like this, and they want to go right to there, but there's so many little humble steps along the way, right?
Oh man, it's so many steps that have been, starting in the apartment complex was probably the best thing I ever did. It
Why is that?
really, it's because it taught me how to go out and believe. I had some times where I doubted myself. I was like, okay, I don't have the capital. I didn't have a family member that had a certain amount of money that I can go and get a loan, and I couldn't afford to actually build out office space and go through the build out. So I had to believe in this little apartment complex that I was going to be able to build it up to achieve all my goals. So I needed that, because that belief is what I continue to use right now, no matter what level. So I'm at this. Now we're at 4,000 square feet located in Dunwoody, and we over 350 agents, and that's less than 5.
Whoa. How many years now? 5 years, you said?
5.
5 years. You have a 4,000 square foot office with 350 agents.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. God bless. That's
Yeah.
incredible. How did you scale? So here I am, and I'm selfishly going to ask, this is my show, I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to ask for business advice, right? So I started my company in late 2020. So really 21, 22, 23. So here we are, basically starting off year number 4. I got to use my fingers. At least, I'm still using fingers. So how did you scale from, I guess 3 agents, we'll call it a jump, to 350? How'd you scale 100x in 5 years?
I think people will follow you if they believe in your message. So I delivered my message on why I started a company. I think most companies forget the message is the most important thing. Your brand message. My message was I wanted to create a company that showcases minority selling at every level, not just one level, all across the world, from our south side of Atlanta to all the way to our north side of Atlanta. But I also wanted to showcase a company that anybody belong. And so right there, a lot of people, and I think that you have to have 3 things in order to be successful, Ben: the right product, the right place, at the right time. And all 3 of those align with me. I had the right product, which is highlighting more minorities, bringing a company of unity, showcasing that. I had it at the right place, Atlanta, Georgia, and then it was at the right time.
Wow. And I love you say the right time, but I mean, you've been in the game for 16 years.
Yeah, but you heard a lot of businesses jump out there too early and then go back and regroup.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, people, what they say, overnight sensation, 15 years in the making, right? You know what I mean? It's like, people see oh wow, look, Jeremy just stepped out and he's doing all this amazing stuff. It's like, but you also had laid the groundwork for 15 years, learning every single aspect of real estate.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think people forget. I had my license 2 years after me getting into it, but I sat on it. I had a chance to run a foreclosure division. I had a chance to run a sports and entertainment division. I had a chance to do commercial real estate. I had a chance to run a successful residential. So I needed that right time. It was the timing, because I had all of those things put together that made me a little bit more sharp. So when I had to teach my agent, I taught off of experience. I didn't teach. I think teaching out of a book and teaching off experience is 2 totally different things.
Yeah, I've experienced that. I mean, as a leader myself, I've failed more often when I've gone in and I didn't know how to do what I was teaching people to do, and people see through that, and you feel like a fraud, and they don't follow you, and when it push comes to shove and you got to roll up your sleeves and do it and show people how to do it, you don't really know how to do it. And that's been one of the things I've frankly struggled in my current business, right? Like there's aspects of my business that I've not done, and I'm learning with my people. Sometimes my people know better than I do how to do this stuff, right? Like aspects of recruiting and other things, so video production is another one. So that's that's something I struggle with, but any look at Rachel says, who wouldn't want to work for Jeremy? Yeah. I could totally see why people follow you and why they support you and want to be a part of what you're building. Teresa saying your work ethic is unparalleled. Yeah, I think that's important too. 350 agents. That's incredible. What cities, what markets are you in now, Jeremy?
We're in Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, and then we just opened up Houston, Texas 3 months ago.
H-Town. Welcome to Texas.
Hey, H-Town.
How do you like the Texas market?
Oh, absolutely love it, man. I love it.
And you opened it up 3 months ago, which is like literally the worst period of real estate in the last decade. And he's like, I love it. That's an optimist. That's a guy you don't want to compete with. When he wakes up, everybody's starving, and he wakes up like, oh, this is great.
Because I've been through the rough time. Like somebody said before, I have 20 years of going through ups and downs in real estate. So when you see a bad market, I see opportunity. That's how I just look at things, and so when everybody was in 2023, in Atlanta, our sales went over 23% in sales in 2023. It's because I made our agents believe, no matter how bad the market is, we're just going to work even harder.
Well, and what that tells me though too is your sales increase through market share, which means that when the market comes back, it's going to have a multiplier effect because now you have this many agents and all those channels to bring business in. This reminds me. I was watching one of these shows where these folks, they like ride these bikes and they climb through this mountainous island, and it's one of these like kind of amazing race kind of things over days, right? And they're going through the rainforest and they're swimming and there's leeches and they're riding bikes and there's hills and all this kind of crazy stuff that I'd never do in my life, but it's fun to watch. And this guy from Brazil who's like the number one guy like this in the world, right? And he's on this team and it's pouring rain and the hill is like mud and they can't even ride their bike. They have to just walk with their bike up the hill in the rain, and there's howler monkeys and there's leeches and people are cut and breaking stuff. And
I like real estate.
and they're interviewing this. It sounds like real estate in 2023. And they're interviewing this guy and they're like, how do you like it? He's like, I love these conditions. I'm like, why? He's like, because this is hard for me and I know that I'm the best. If it's hard for me, it's killing the other guys. And I'm just like, ooh, that's a bad man. You don't want to mess with that dude right there. So I applaud your optimism, and I think where there's a will, there's a way. And if you see it, you'll achieve it for sure. And it's incredible. So you had growth last year, and everybody else I'm talking to down, 30%, and you saw growth last year.
Yeah, I did. We saw growth, man. We added like I said before, we added a couple more divisions, where the corporate relocation was a division we added. We still have sports and entertainment. So the sports and entertainment industry, it didn't affect them, So we had departments of our company that, mortgage rates didn't affect them. They were still buying, they were still having to move. And then, we're in Atlanta. Atlanta was the number one emerging market in any market in the whole United States, and I think it's picked again to be the most emerging market. So we had a lot of corporations coming in, of course I know that because of the corporate relocation. So it was this amazing market and people were still buying.
I'm really curious about this whole athlete thing. Get in the comments here. We got a little bit of time with Jeremy left. So get in the comments here and let us know what questions you have for Jeremy besides the rhetorical ones, like who wouldn't want to work for him. Get in there and I'll ask those questions. But I'm really curious about this whole athlete relocation thing because I've met some realtors in Detroit. I got this friend of mine that I met when I was up in Detroit. He specializes in athlete relocation. He's there and he's in Miami. Does some cool stuff on Instagram. I mean, by the way, those cribs are very, very Instagrammable. But like, what tip would you give to people that are saying, I want to diversify into athlete relocation? I mean, is that something that you would even advise them to do? And if so, I mean, do you care to give anybody any advice on that?
Yeah, I think those are the ones that need the most help. They need the most guidance, because you remember some of those athletes are 18, 19, 20. It's maybe their first time ever, purchasing a home. Mom and dad may never have purchased a home. Some of
Wow.
them. Are. And so I think those are the ones that need the most guidance. And I've been blessed to have some great relationships with like Morgan Stanley, UBS, some representatives at Wells Fargo. So I had some great partners.
I was literally for a second trying to figure out who Morgan Stanley played for, and then I realized, okay, Morgan Stanley is not the athlete. This is the bank. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
the financial advisors and CAA. I really dove all the way into sports and entertainment, and just not the surface, but really deep into it. Understanding their financial advisors. Building relationships with their financial advisors, building relationships with their sports and entertainment agent. So my level of sports and entertainment goes a little bit level deep into it. And coming up with strategies. So when they're having meetings with their agent and they're having meetings with their financial advisor, sometimes I was in the room with them and talking about the real estate. I deal with athletes that had a lot of money that, I had to make sure that it was making wise decisions. And I have to say, all the athletes that I dealt with, they never overspent. And they were some real smart athletes. So, my first athlete I ever dealt with, and I told him, I always tell him about this guy named Marcel Darius. He was
Marcel Darius. Sure.
Yeah, he played for the University of Alabama. He was the third pick in the NFL draft. Rookie contract was $20 million. Helped him with all of his real estate purchase. And to this day, he's sitting very comfortable. He never overspent. He was just a real smart individual when it came to his money. I made sure that the real estate side that we didn't overspend, but we got exactly what he wanted. And from that, I tell everybody, when you get a blue chip player like that, it's kind of easy to get the other players a button back, because I think he signed a contract for $106 million. And so imagine managing a 20-year-old who just signed a contract with $106 million. So that's the difference between corporate relocation and sports and entertainment. You got to bring a little bit more love in there.
Yeah, and I mean, and a great referral too. And I love what you're saying about helping people not overspend, because I imagine it would be easy as a realtor to be like, all right, well, if you want it, I'll help you buy it. Like what, because I mean, you can get greedy, right? Because I mean, that's commissions are percentage based, right? So, but that's really cool. And again, I see you as a person. I don't know you that well, but I mean, I tend to go off my instincts with these things. I mean, I see you as a person that's thinking long term always for yourself and for your clients, which again is going to bode super well. Get in the comments. I want to hear what questions you have for Jeremy. We've only got about 12 minutes left here with him. So if you want to ask him anything, I will ask it. Just put it in there. I don't care if you want to talk what favorite flavor of Pop-Tarts are. I will ask him the question, okay? And he's got to answer. He's on the camera. He can't do nothing. He's got to answer. Okay, it's a small world. So put it in the comments. We might even do an overrated, underrated. I don't know, off the cuff here. Was Marcel Darius a linebacker?
No, he was a defensive tackle.
D tackle. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got a question. All right, Teresa. Hey, Teresa, look at Teresa. I'm starting to really like Teresa. What advice would you give other minority women and veteran-owned brokers about serving the relocation industry?
I would, if they were just not getting into the relocation industry, I would literally tell them they need to call Teresa. I think that
Teresa's serving up softballs and you're just whacking them out of the park.
But it's very important, when we come in this industry, and let's just talk about mobility now, that you understand dealing with a corporate client and dealing with the level of service that you have to give a corporate client. Or just even going on a corporate relocation listing, and the level it takes to actually sell that type of property. So I would ask them to take a step back, make sure you have your fundamentals together, make sure you have a great team, because I would not be in this without my team. I had some great, phenomenal agents that were very skilled, knowledge, caring, and they gave that white glove service to allow us to continue to get assignments. Because you already know RMCs would cut you off in a heartbeat if they feel like you affected their business.
100%. And they will throw you under the bus so fast too. Like, oh, he did what? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, I'll be blackballed through the whole industry.
You will.
Do not hire Jeremy no more. Cut him off. But I would tell a minority of veterans, make sure you understand mobility. Get involved. Go to a worldwide ERC. Jump on some of the podcasts, like your podcast. You can learn a whole lot about our industry. So learn the industry before you jump out there.
Yeah, that's a great. Let me ask you, what is one piece of advice for people who are new to the industry, who are in the industry, but maybe it's their first conference?
Patience. Patience. Let's get there. Before I went to the conference in Chicago, I had been trying to get in relocation for almost 4 years before that, man. I applied for some of the RMCs that they told me that they were busy. I mean, they had enough vendors. So how many times I got an email back and saying that we had enough vendors. We're not bringing anybody else. I mean, 4 years straight, I'd heard that, Ben. So patience. If you don't get it the first time, if they don't return to your phone call, just continue to follow up with them. Continue to shake their hand. Find out about them. Find out if they got a dog, cat, Susie, little brother, sister, dig deep, ask them.
Yeah, taking that interest in people and then remembering that stuff
people want to feel like they're doing with good people. And if they feel like they know your personality, they know your character, they're more likely to bring you in and give you an opportunity.
I love it. Keep these questions coming. I do have time for a little overrated, underrated. Super producer Adam is traveling right now, which is why, the production's a little bootleg today. Okay. So I apologize to everybody watching right now. We're doing the best we can. Okay, people. Annie Ream checking in from Global HQ. Glad to have you on the podcast. Happy New Year, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Annie? Good to see you, Annie. Thanks for checking in. Hit that like button, y'all, if you're watching. All right. You want to play a little overrated, underrated? You want to play a little game with me, Jeremy?
Yeah, let's play this. Let's go.
Okay. Do you know the rules to overrated, underrated?
I think I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
There's only two rules, Jeremy. It's a simple game. There's only two rules, okay? The first is I am going to give you a topic, and you are going to tell me if it is overrated or underrated.
Okay. All right.
The second is I will tell you if you are correct.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Let's see what we're getting into here. Overrated, underrated. All right, let's see here. Overrated, underrated. Doing this myself today. Overrated, underrated. Flipping houses. Overrated or underrated?
I'm going to say underrated. People sometimes don't understand the way the wealth is through real estate, and you can use that money for flipping houses to springboard your next project or whatever your dream is. So I'm going to say underrated because more people need to be doing it, investing.
Wow, really? I mean, because there was a big flipping houses craze. Can people still really make money on flipping houses, fixer uppers? Go ahead.
The market is, up a little bit, but it's pockets of areas that you still may find opportunity. I think you just got to dig a little bit deep. I think it's weed out all the people who are just in there for the little phase that went through from, that 2007, 2008 phase. And now it's the serious investors that are in there that really, really are being more creative.
So it feels like it was huge for a while. And then it feels like it kind of went away and it was like, there's not really much meat on the bone because everybody's doing it and there's not a lot of deals to be had. And then lately, and I don't know if it's just the algorithm or what, but I'm hearing about all this, it seems like a new pocket of opportunities, like these whole trap house movements that I'm seeing on Instagram all the time. And, Gary Owens has got one. Everybody's got to try, trap house trying to fix up and everything. And I think it almost in a way plays into this whole gentrification thing too, right? And it's because they're going into neighborhoods where maybe people didn't want to flip before, and now they're flipping in these neighborhoods because they're thinking these neighborhoods are the neighborhood's gonna flip. And it's interesting because it seems like it's a new strata or new pocket of opportunity in the flip game that I've just been observing. Totally not in the game. I wouldn't swing a sledgehammer to save my life, but that's just what I'm seeing on the gram.
So which one you give it? Do you give it overrated or underrated?
I think it's I think it's back. I think it's back. I think it's underrated again. I think it went from underrated to overrated back to underrated. I think flipping houses is a thing. But here's the trick to me is you maybe it's not a flip, maybe it's not a true flip, it's a renovate, and maybe it's a hold and flip into corporate housing. That's what I've been fascinated by recently, is getting into corporate housing with single family homes. Because everybody's doing corporate housing with apartments, but all these transferees with large families or with pets or whatever, these executives, they don't want to move into even a 3-bedroom apartment. They want to move into a house. And so it's like, if you could flip the house into a corporate housing situation, I don't know.
That goes back to most people don't know about mobility. So they don't know about corporate housing. So that's the awareness we have to bring to this industry, letting know other people know opportunities.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, you're right about that. Andy's saying underrated. Andy, you flip a lot of houses. What's going on, Andy? Tell me about it. Vinny, what's up, Vinny? Vinny's coming in here very late. I will watch the recording. Yeah, this is actually a good one, Vinny. It's actually a good one, if I do say so myself. Vinny, get in this overrated, underrated game, though. I want to hear your thoughts. Let's go to the next one. All right, so you're 1 for 1, Jeremy. I like how competitive. You want to know the score. I like it. All right, the next one. This is a hard one now, Jeremy, okay? I need you to really get serious here, all right? I need you to put your thinking cap on for this one. Overrated, underrated, Alabama football.
Underrated.
Underrated. How can Alabama football be any more overrated, especially this year?
It's not overrated. It's facts, so it's not facts. Overrated. We won more national championships than any college out there, and been to probably more, championships than any college out there. So it can't be overrated because the facts stand for what they are, What they say, numbers don't lie, B?
Hey, people do. Vinny Valverde says, "Go Buffs." All right, you know what? We're gonna throw one in just for Vinny here. Overrated, underrated. Hold on, here it comes. We're producing the show on the fly. Overrated, underrated. Coach Prime.
Oh, wow. Underrated.
Underrated.
I'm gonna say underrated.
I'm gonna challenge you. What was his record this year? Was it 5 and forever, 4 and forever?
But yeah. Then he come in and they won more games than they won the year before.
I think they had one win last year, so I think he went up to 4 or 5 this year.
So that's progress. You coming in, so you can't say underrated. He's already changed the program. And how much money has that university generated so far since he's been on that campus?
A lot. You know what he did? He flipped the whole university.
He did.
He flipped the whole neighborhood.
And what's the average? I got one more for you. What's the average ticket price of a Colorado game? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about going to a Colorado game?
I did this year.
Okay, but before this year.
Never in my life.
That's Boulder. Right there. They got Benny to the game now.
I hear Boulder's beautiful. Yeah. Vinny says, "Come on, guys, being very truthful. I do not like Coach Prime as a coach. He's an incredible leader and brought so much to Colorado University." Vinny, do you think they need a different coach, Vinny? I want to know what you think out here. I
think, Vinny, I'm asking you, just wait till after this new year. Give them 2 years before you say anything. Just give them 2 years. If you don't cut it after this year, Vinny, then
Mike.
But Mike said he worth every dime, and I think that the university president would say the same thing because the enrollment went up. Even the community probably would say the same thing. More people eating in their restaurants now. Nobody would go. You know how far Boulder is when you get into Denver?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half, 2 hour drive. Now people are driving 2 hours past Denver to get to Boulder.
Well, some people would say Denver's in the middle of nowhere. So not only you go to the middle of nowhere, sorry Denver, but then you go outskirts of there. That's a lot of car rentals. Vinny saying no. Coach Prime is the man. He is bringing incredible staff and talent to Colorado, and his recruiting class coming up He's got, I think there was that tackle, that kid. I mean, that kid's a mountain. I think he might have been the #1 recruit. You know, it'll be interesting. You know, he does work in the transfer portal too. So you're right. Let's give him one more year here. It's hard to go from. I mean, he went from 1 win to, I think it was 4 wins this year.
Yeah.
And man, it started off so hot though. That's the thing. It beat TCU. Everyone's like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah.
Shadur was looking like Heisman, you know, and the other cat that played both ways, Travis. Oh man, he was the truth. And then he got the injury. Oh, it broke my heart. So yeah, give him one more year. Give him one more year. All right, let's see here. All right, that was a fun one here. Nansan, let's do underrated, overrated in 2024. I dig it. 4 wins in 23, 7 wins at least in 24. It's a surprisingly tough division though. That pack whatever number is a tough.
Pac-12.
Is it 12 now? It's
well, no, it's down. They left Pac-12, I think. So it's got to be. Yeah, I think they're in the Big Ten now or something like that.
Colorado did.
Yeah, I think they left that conference.
Now Big 12.
Oh,
huh, interesting.
Oh yeah, they're in Big 12 now. Okay, yeah.
They might actually win that because didn't some of the good teams leave there? Didn't Texas and
Texas,
Oklahoma leave?
UCF joined, and I forgot what the team.
I'll trade Texas for UCF all day long on my schedule. yes, please, twice on Tuesday. All right, let's see here. What else we got here? Overrated, underrated. Instagram.
Underrated, and I'm going to say that. My business came from Instagram before they started changing the algorithm. You know, when they allow you to get out to more people. Now it's a business. Now I tell everybody, but I don't think I was able to get my voice out to thousands of people a little bit quicker than the old school way of sending out emails or doing a billboard. So we started a company. I mean, what better way? I mean, then the cost of advertising is a little bit cheaper doing it through Instagram than it is for Google clicks.
Tell people, like, give people a flavor, like specifics. Like, what are some specific things that you did on Instagram early that helped you build your business?
Talk. When most people,
like, what you mean? Like talk? How?
You know, talking about the message, the reason why I started the company, the vision, being very transparent. You know, showing that I'm starting in an apartment complex and showing the growth. So I kind of gave them a behind the scenes of me building the company, and I shared some of my most vulnerable moments. And when I'm in there and saying, "Man, I don't know if I could do this," and it was a tough day, coming up with curriculum, and I didn't graduate in an education degree, so writing curriculum to educate. So showing that transparency through Instagram, I think that's underrated. I think when more people would do that, people would connect. The number one way that's successful in real estate is personality. So you show me I produce an agent, I'll show you that personality that people connect with. And then relationships too. Relationships and personality.
So did Instagram help you, and you can't say both, did it help you get more listings or did it help you get more agents?
More agents.
So agents bought into the Norman Associates dream and vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How would could you give me some Instagram advice real quick that doesn't involve like losing weight?
And I think you at this podcast, I know you're doing something right on yours. Your personality is I mean, anybody that I talk to about you, Ben, they always talks about your personality. So you make it easy for somebody to come up and talk to you. And I think you just keep on showing that, and that's why people relate to you and take their time and log in on LinkedIn and Facebook to hear your thing. So I think just keep on showing your personality, what you're doing, man. I'm rocking with you.
Thank you very much. How do you get people that work for you to actually tune into the stuff that you do? Because sometimes they don't watch the stuff. Do you ever have that problem?
That's like trying to get them to come to a team meeting, and they've been in real estate for a while. So that's like,
how many pizzas do I gotta buy? Right? You buy lunch, they don't show up.
I had bagel. Now I give more engagement through teams when we have a team meeting to try to come in. Wow. But I tell everybody, I remember what a team meeting used to be before COVID. Now after COVID, I'm not the only one. You call any Keller Williams office and ask what their team meeting looks like now versus when pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, they may have 100 agents. Now they probably have 20 because the rest of them ask me, "Are you going to put it online?"
Are the 20 that show up the top producers or the bottom producers?
It's normally probably your newer agents. You know, sometimes your top, your newer people. You know, your top producers want that one-on-one coaching. You know, that's
yeah.
You know,
I feel you. Last one, overrated or underrated? I feel like, oh man, you know, this is gonna be tough. All right, here we go. Last one, overrated, underrated, entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's a good one. Can I give you 2 answers on that?
Sure.
Underrated because I think more people need to follow their dreams and step out.
Okay.
You know, overrated because people think it's easy.
Oh, yep.
So I'm coming from both lenses. There's a lot of people got great ideas, but they're scared to jump on out there and become. But then you got some people that think they could just jump in it because it looks so easy.
Okay, you there? Yeah. Okay. I have one follow-up question on this. Do you think too many people try entrepreneurship or not enough people try entrepreneurship?
Not enough. Because I think it's going to be a lot of people when they get 60 or 70 is going to say, I wish I would have tried. So there's going to be a lot of people that's going to have regret about some of the things they didn't do or the opportunities they didn't step out on. I think not enough. Yeah. I'd rather you fail than not try.
Yeah, and somebody told me, you know, when I was thinking about making the leap, you know, whatever, one of the best pieces of advice I got was, you know, you were a successful employee before. You can always go back and get a job. As hard as it is when you're unemployed to get a job, and how traumatic that can be, you know, in the 6-month time frame or whatever that is that it takes. They said you can always go back and get a job, but you can't always, you know, go back and follow your dreams. So, yeah, I would tend to agree, but sometimes, because I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm always beating that entrepreneurial drum, and that's part of my personality. It's the way I'm wired. Whatever, I have vision. Whatever, right? You're the same way. Some people say, but Ben, everybody's not built like that. Everybody's not meant to do that, right? That's not for everybody, right?
Which is true.
So I don't want to be overly prescriptive here and say everyone should do it, but it's kind of what I feel.
I just feel like I'd rather you try for your dreams than not try for your dreams. You know, right. I know that everybody's not built for it, but I'd rather them find out that by trying and not trying.
Yeah. Sounds yeah, I agree. Jeremy, this has been phenomenal, and I know I've taken you way longer than you agreed to be here, so I appreciate that. I've held you against your will in some ways here on camera. So thank you for being here. But I want to ask you one time before we go. I want to give you the opportunity. You want to leave us maybe just with a final thought?
Final thought is pursue your dreams and don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. And I appreciate everybody who has supported Norman and Associates. Shout out to all of our RMCs and our corporate partnerships, and shout out to our RDC. My family. My RDC family for embracing me. And stay tuned. We're in this.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love watching the trajectory. I could talk to you for another hour, and I hope to have you back on soon, Jeremy. I hope to get a chance to really work with you and collaborate with you, because you have great energy, and I do believe you're highly favored, and those are the kind of people I like to surround myself with too. So thanks for being here today, Jeremy.
I appreciate you allowing me to come on your podcast, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's cool. Jeremy, hang tight real quick. Everybody else, I will see you later. We are supposed to have Fiona Wong from Australia on tomorrow, so check that out, and can't wait to bring you the rest of the amazing lineup we got for 2024. It's our 5th year doing Love and Relo. Thank you all for being a part of it. We wouldn't have a show without you. Hit that like button one more time, and we will see you next time, y'all. Take care, everybody.